I could not agree more. I think that especially post season 4 of Game of Thrones, something about Tyrion was just lost. And I think the thing that was lost was his moral grayness, and you can't have Tyrion without his moral grayness. I think pre-season 4 and especially the season 4 Tyrion was peak Tyrion. And I think that was when we all were like, oh my God, this is such a cool character. I personally am a Jamie girly, but we'll get there. But before the season 4 finale, we definitely see Tyrion doing and saying things that are morally reprehensible or just not, or just kind of icky and not great. This is not one of those moments, but I felt like I needed to highlight this because it's such a good moment for him. And then we also see him being very good towards people who are vulnerable and rooting for people who, if they win, it would be bad for him. Like with Sansa, when she's like, oh, I'm loyal to Joffrey. Don't look at me. I'm trying to get out of here. And he's like, Lady Sansa, you just may survive us yet. But then Tyrion shoots Tywin, and then the entire context behind why he shoots Tywin is just completely thrown out the window. So in the book, the reason why Tyrion kills Shay and shoots Tywin, well, he just kills Shay because she's in the room. Like it wasn't like it was this sad moment. Like the show frames it like we should feel bad for Tyrion for killing Shay, when in reality he just kind of snaps and he just hurts her and he kills her and he's just like whatever, and then he moves on towards Tywin. But the reason why he's so like in a rage about it is because Jaime has just told him that the circumstances of his first marriage to that common girl Tysha were actually real. He married like a common girl like as a teenager, and then Tywin basically had his soldiers like run train on her and told Tyrion that she was like a hooker, or that like a whore, or like there's like a word that they use in Game of Thrones, but I forgot what the word is. But Jaime bought Tyrion the hooker, and they pay her a bunch of money, and Tywin has all of his guards run train on her and then makes Tyrion go last. It's awful. But then Jaime's like, "Hey, sorry about that. I need to tell you some stuff before you go running off as a fugitive forever. They made me lie about that, and I feel like you need to know that." And then Tyrion throws a lot of Cersei's infidelity at Jaime's face before he goes off to murder their dad. And he's like, don't call her a whore. Don't call her a whore. And then Tywin called her a whore, and then he shot him, and then he left. And it's not good the way that he did that. The show makes it look like he shot Tywin because Tywin slept with Shay and Tyrion loved Shay. But in reality, it was just, he was pissed off about the lies that Tywin had told, and then he murdered Shay in cold blood. So and then the books frame the Tyrion Shay relationship a little bit differently. So it's a little bit murkier. It's a little bit more unclear how Shay feels about him, and it's definitely more like she's using him for his money and his connections and all that. And it could have been really cool to see that play out in the show, but also Peter Dinklage is a really good Tyrion Lannister, and I feel like the showrunners were afraid to see him go full moral gray, and in Tyrion's arc, something gets lost after that. And I just think that's a real shame, because I feel like the Lannister siblings in particular really speak about the reasons why regular people can slide into evil. Cersei, for her part, is mostly reprehensible. She's a terrible person, she's even worse in the books. And most of the time when you get inside a character's head in Game of Thrones, they're better people than you think they are. But then Cersei, she's just worse. But at the same time, this is a woman who loves her children. It does not matter how horrible they are. It doesn't matter how sweet they are. She loves them all the same. And this is also a woman who's had a lot of her choices taken from her and a lot of her chances taken from her. So you could see how she made that slide into evil, even if you don't agree with her and you think that she's fucking batshit, which she is. And Jaime, who I think is the best of the three of them, he's a person who falls in with Cersei very, very young, and it corrupts him very, very early. And everything that he does is in service of her. And he doesn't see what he does as evil or terrible or morally gray, because he's doing it from a place of love. So Tyrion and Cersei and Jaime, they're all coming from this place of love about it. And then they all end up in very, very morally gray places. And Jaime, out of the three of them so far, is in the books is the closest to rising above it. But then the show just kind of spits on my dreams a little bit. So in my mind, I say again, his arc ended right here. But I do agree with you. I think not only Tyrion, but every Lannister, apart from Tywin, was ruined in some way by the show, by either taking away their moral grayness, or giving them a little too much moral grayness in the case of Cersei, because I feel like Cersei was really interesting when she was just batshit insane, like the books. That being said, though, I feel like Cersei in the show does a really good job of balancing batshit insanity and this sadness that you can't help but feel empathy for. So I'm not that mad at Cersei as opposed to Tyrion, where I feel like his entire development took a hard left at the end of season 4, where we could have had something really cool, like what was brewing in a Dance of Dragons, because that was when we start seeing him get really morally gray and really mean and really like nasty. All this to say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to spend almost 7 minutes ranting about Game of Thrones. I don't get to do that so often anymore. Not the show is over, and everybody in my life hates the show except for me. So thank you for that.